this thing set up.
Hi, Mackenzie. Can you guys see this stuff? Who's an addiction expert and family. And I'll go live. Hi guys, on TikTok. I will be live on here, but if you want to ask questions, please go to the YouTube channel. We just got on Dr. G, Dr. Parham, who should be a doctor, and myself. And we got this going a little late today, but the description is going to be under the screen soon. And we might as well get started, guys, huh?
Let's do it.
Sure.
Yeah, and guys, if you want to ask questions, just get in the queue. Nicole from Real Talk Recovery is helping us because I'm not very good at managing this stuff. Just a couple of announcements. If you're new to the channel, this is Dr. B Addiction Recovery. I'm joined with Parham and Dr. G. Parham we're going to do this every Sunday. He's a very experienced and credentialed substance abuse counselor. He's very popular in Orange County here and works with his own program. Dr. G, who actually works with our nonprofit, American Addiction Institute of Mind and Medicine. It's an intensive outpatient treatment. He is a doctor of psychology with extensive experience, and he also had his own treatment center previously. Extensive experience with substance abuse as well as family dynamics. It's actually his sort of forte and what he really enjoys. So he always has taught me to look at substance abuse as a family disease, and I have borrowed a lot from that theme in my own therapeutic modalities. So I am really privileged to have the both of them here today, and we'll generate this discussion. Nicole will help us with people getting on. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, you like our content, please go ahead and subscribe and press the like button. If you're inclined to do so, we have a Patreon account to support our endeavors. Gentlemen, how are you?
We're doing good, Doctor. Thank you for having us back. Dr. G, really good to see you. Nothing but love and respect for who you are and what you do in the field. So I'm excited to have the opportunity to be with you as well.
Thank you so much, both of you, and thanks for the invitation. I'm very happy, excited to be here. I have such a great respect for both of you, as you already know. Parham and I, we know each other already many, many years, and already gained great respect for him from the very beginning. Such a astute clinician, just you know the field, you know the people, it's just amazing, and I'm very happy to be collaborating with you. And Dr. B is like my twin nowadays. We work every day together on this.
We do. Yeah.
We also look like twins, right?
Yeah, we do. And it's wonderful to have you both here to give me the insight on some of these issues that I don't trust many people. And you're a very select few for what that's worth in my evaluation system clinically. But by the way, next week we have a great topic with THC, and I'll get to that later. If I may generate the discussion, one of the issues that comes up a lot, and every once in a while I make a post on TikTok or on YouTube, I refer to it, and you both know where my position is on addiction. It's this concept of, I think family, loved ones, and parents are sort of in a state of, they're in a frantic state of what to do. Number two, as you both know, I don't think there's too many places out there that really give them good advice after you go the steps of come on into the program, what's your insurance, what can you afford? And this vicious cycle continues. Within that sort of construct is always the issue of what do I do at home? What do I do if I'm suspecting it? What do I do when I find out? more to the point of the topic today, these folks are trying to manage an ongoing, very serious issue. And, it might be, please, mom, let me get $20. I need to get home. Or let me just do this one more night. And one of the features that I noticed with this is when people are deep in the disease, their behavior becomes really almost, and it does, a personality disorder, right? So nothing they say can be put any value in. And so I always instruct empowerment versus enabling. And this really goes to our therapeutic modality as well. As you both know, my programs, I mean, we're a harm reduction program. We look at this as a disease model, and this really brings up the accountability issue. And for me, empowering and educating and holding someone accountable is very different than enabling. But for family, loved ones, and parents, this is an issue. Please, gentlemen, give me some feedback, whoever wants to go first.
Dr. G, go for it, bud.
Well, I have a very unique perspective on this that very briefly stated, I call it systemic approach. And it's not just the family systems that many people are aware of, but really the societal system. And but then there are two ways of looking at it, at least for me. What you mentioned was so interesting, empowering versus enabling in terms of the family response, family members, how they respond to those types of demands, expectations, wishes, desires, and then some kind of a pool that let's say, a person with addiction has in the family. That's one way of discussing things, which I'm very happy, to be part of. The other part, I'm not sure if we're going to get into this or not this time around, but I do believe that this whole problem with addiction does deserve a little bit more scrutiny in terms of how we as a society are actually, kind of contributing to the problem. I don't believe there's much being said, generally in anywhere, in channels, radio, video, on social media. There's not much discussion around that in terms of the understanding that, and what I mean by that systemic approach is that the relationships between family members seem to be very much disconnected, not self-differentiated. Those are two different things. At least in this society that we live in, and I have had the privilege of living in 3 different cultures, societies, that helps me compare and contrast a little bit. Here, what I noticed, again, literally just anecdotally from many clients I have worked with, is that parents, family members, they kind of leave each other alone in a fashion that they become strangers. They grow up literally just with almost like a veil of secrecy and distance, a wall between them, where there is no emotional connection, zero emotional connection or understanding of each other's worlds, tolerance, empathy, connection. When we say connection, the connection includes all those parameters. And as a result, the way I see it is that this distance and disconnection leads to a major, source of people just wanting to numb themselves, because it really digs deep into the idea of purposefulness and meaningfulness of life. And what I mean by systemic approach when I work with, clients, is that I start helping them look at that, see, are you guys actually self-differentiated? You can tolerate one another. You can accept diversity of, family members, who they are for who they are, or no, are you just disconnected from one another? That's a very important aspect, I believe. I'm not sure if we're going to get into this today or not, but I think it's worth discussing.
Yeah, for sure, man. That was wonderful, Dr. G. That was, I like looking at everything systemically and as a bigger, when you zoom out and look at something as a system, more gets revealed, if you will. And that phenomenon about human beings living inside the same roof, but being like roommates, but they're also family members, is really interesting how that happens. But what I kind of wanted to say real quick. So you said if a family member finds out that their loved one's using, what do they do and this and that when they're kind of in that state of shock? I always say that's the time, because when our emotions get triggered, right, and the closer people are to us, that's when we need outside help. What I've noticed with a lot of family members is they get scared, they get worried, they find some drugs, if the behaviors change, and they're highly emotionally triggered, right? Their emotion regulation skills is unable to meet the demands of the situation going on. They act irrationally. They over-exaggerate. They do things out of fear. And that's when a third-party perspective of a professional really, really gets valuable for the family member. So my biggest thing to people would be reach out when that happens and get professional help. Because when your emotions are triggered, man, you're not seeing clearly. And the second thing I have about the topic of enabling and empowering, this is the premise that I work on. It's a little bit not as systemic as Dr. G was talking about, but to the family member that's asking the question, how do I know when I'm enabling and how do I know when I'm helping or empowering? I always say, so enabling is doing something for someone that they should be doing for themselves, and helping is doing something for someone that they can't do for themselves. And if you look at it at that basic, simple lens, you'll be able to see clearly on, okay, wait, they need to be doing this themselves. They should be doing this themselves. Why am I doing it for them? Is there something going on with me? Am I doing this out of guilt? Am I doing this out of fear? Am I doing this out of just judgment? Or am I doing it for them? And we'll talk about that. But that's my basic premise that I go back on. Whenever a family member has a question, I take them right back to that. I draw two circles. Helping is doing something for someone that they should and need to be doing for themselves. And enabling is the vice versa of that. So hopefully we can go from there and have a good discussion there too.
So if I may address both of those, let me start with Dr. G's comments. Now, as you know, Dr. G, the stuff you were discussing is really my primary interest. And hopefully maybe in the next couple of weeks, we can get you back on and we can get Parham in that. And that concept of meaning and defining the self as you come up in this world from birth is it. That is it. And as you know, I'm a big fan of the sociologist, the father of modern sociology, Emil Durkheim, and his piece on suicide. And, I was just talking to somebody very near and dear to me. And I said to them, it is important for me that this young man comes up finding meaning in himself versus the outside world. Whether it's the clothes he wears, the friends he has, and in that way I can secure a functional psychodynamic ego. And so we will get into this as a cause of addiction soon. You went one step back, a heavy step back, and I love it, but we're going to get Parham in this. Let me move on to Parham's thing. And I think that is true. And I want to expand on your thought and definition of enabling and empowering. I always I'm very careful in responding with this because, and I always tell them, I'm not a therapist, nor am I going to put my professional pronoun I into this. But I will tell you this. Empowering and enabling is facilitating their behavior in a way that facilitates their addiction. So Joe got drunk today and couldn't make it to work, and you call in sick for him to his boss. Okay. Yep. That's enabling his addiction so he can drink another day and sustain what is normal for him before the addiction kicks in. And empowering means making them understand you are absolutely there with complete love. And when they really want to take steps to procure some help and take it upon themselves, that's empowering. And how to define that is, I think, tricky, and it could be costly. But if you don't get this as a family member, you will be devastated. And I'm going to borrow from Dr. G. This is a family disease because the consequences for you are going to be stress, emotion, financial. And then Parham, the little piece that you also said about the reaction. Believe me, I think we've all been there, and we know that, and I've had some personal issues that some of you may know about recently. It's really good, even at this age, with all of my experience, when it comes to something personal, you have a knee-jerk reaction, and that can be an expensive proposition in all areas, okay? And so, Parham, that's so critical for them to step back and seek professional help. But I don't know what your thoughts on that, guys, are, but that's how I see some of what you guys were saying.
Very well said. Yes, completely agree.
But let's get into a potential example. And Nicole, if anyone wants to come on, ask a question, please do. That's how we generate understanding, and we learn as well when people come on. TikTok, if you guys need to go on, I see quite a few of you on TikTok. Go to Dr. B Addiction Recovery, and we can answer your questions. But when a mom says to me, let me get down into a real example, gentlemen, and please give me some feedback. When a mom says to me, I can't kick her out, right? Or she's telling me she's going to do okay. I just got to get her some more Vicodin and she knows how to taper down. And you see this really codependent relationship. And again, I always have to remind people, listen, guys, I'm not a expert. I'm not to the extent as a clinician, physician, sure, I can make some judgments. But please understand, I don't want to tell you what to do, but this is what I see. You guys are codependent. That's probably caused her addiction. She's telling you to go get her some Norco. Otherwise, she's going to go out and get heroin. And she's demanding, she's running you to the ground. But it's hard for me. And they tell me, what if I kick her out and something bad happens to her? Give me some feedback in these situations, gentlemen, because I run into these all the time, and I have to be ethically very cautious on the feedback I give them. The two of you might have a lot more conviction in what you say and take that leap of faith. Either one wants to start.
Go ahead, Parham.
Sure, yeah. So this comes up all the time. I think there's one distinction between the age of the individual. So when someone's 16, 17, 14, under 18, it's a little bit different approach and angle that's usually recommended by someone like myself than when someone's a adult child, 25, 27, 32, living still at home. So that's a little bit distinction right there. But I never give personal, advice to somebody in that regard. So I always say, based on working with thousands of people over the past decade, what I've noticed is that, and then I lead with that. So what I noticed is that individuals that had a communication and a conversation with each other regarding boundaries. If this is your world, you have to sit down with your loved one with love, with direct communication, and let them know what you will and what you won't tolerate. And what I mean by that is this: don't set a boundary that you're not willing to keep, because addicts, alcoholics, if we want to label that, if they find out that you have a little chink in your armor, if they find out that you said this time is okay, but next time, they're going to continue to take advantage of that. They're going to keep pushing the boundaries, pushing the boundaries, pushing the boundaries. And that's the term, you can love someone till they die. That's where it comes from. So as family members, just know that you do actually have some power. You do have some control, but it starts with communication. It starts with setting expectations and also knowing what's your outcome. So let's say you get the Norco this time. What's the short term? What's the medium term? What's the long-term outcome you're looking for? Does this match that long-term vision you have for your loved one, for yourself? If it doesn't, you got to go a different direction. And these are the hardest things in the world for a loved one, for a family member to say, hey, I need to set these boundaries because what if something happens to my loved one? This and that. But the more professional voices in unison can give them good guidance and suggestions based on clinical applications and previous, experiences and previous cases, it builds the psychological and emotional muscles for the family members to build boundaries. Because here it is. If you're a family member watching this and your loved one continues to do the same thing over and over again, your psychological and emotional muscles, frankly, suck. You're unable to say something and be strong in what you're saying and have confidence in what you're saying. Because if you did, this wouldn't be happening over and over again. So that's where professional help again comes in handy, because sometimes when a professional gives you the permission to do something, you're like, okay, I can do it now. It's something that you know you should be doing, but the permission from a professional for some reason sometimes just gives that extra layer of confidence. So yeah, when we get specific cases about this, when someone brings up a question, I'd love to be able to jump in and kind of help in a general way, as Dr. B, you know that. But this question comes up all the time, and it comes down to boundaries, man. It comes down to boundaries.
Please, that's wonderful. And again, I gain insight. I sort of do the same thing and say, I'm not a doctor here. I'm just, what you guys are giving back to me gives me a lot more tools to deal with it myself. That was wonderful and beautiful. Interestingly, Parham, you said something that I was like, it's kind of a catch-22, because you said, if they can't set boundaries X, Y, and Z. And I almost want to tell you more of as an abstract point that this was probably the problem for the last 15, 20 years in the first place. And this is how this whole mess began. But that's this is where Dr. G would come in and, really look at the family issues. But, this problem must have really been going on for a long time. But that was wonderful. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Dr. G.
Yeah, so that was fantastic, the way Parham explained that. And I want to kind of build on that in terms of not only age, but even regardless of age. I think something that is really ageless that stands out for me here is the lack of understanding that family members have about the nature of addiction as it relates to decision making, good, appropriate decision making. Even though kind of on the surface it's a concept that people can relate to. If we said that, addiction, in one way, I would say it's a disorder of decision making, and it would make sense to them, right? However, the problem is that they are not aware that they are expecting appropriate decision making from a person who is struggling with addiction. Even though that, if you told them and they agreed that, yes, it is a problem with decision making, but it doesn't sink in terms of you really have to relent on that idea of expecting appropriate decision making. And that goes back to that idea of, why would we even want a person leave the house? If I'm told, hey, Dr. G, what do you think? Should I kick my kid out? I would say, first of all, let's understand why that is even important. Why is this even a question? It shouldn't be a question. You never should kick your son or daughter out, especially as you mentioned, Parham, if they're minor. So if this has come surface to the level of becoming an important question and a valid option, actually, which at times is really the only or the best option, then we have to ask ourselves, well, how come? How come that it has risen to that level? That's what takes me back to the root cause of the families not really understanding how their expectation of appropriate decision-making has led to the escalation of, let's say, the enabling cycle to a point where throughout their, and that's basically what Dr. V was kind of alluding to, throughout upbringing, throughout their childhood, throughout all these years prior to this symptomatology that we call addiction, they have missed the point. They have not seen where their child has started making bad decisions, and they have not been part of the parents have not been part of the solution. Again, going back to that disconnection, if a child is making bad decisions and if you're not part of their life and you just leave them, let them be, and you create a distance between yourself and them, after a few years, you are dealing with this unfortunate reality that you literally have to kick them out because you have no longer any influence in helping them make better decisions. Now you have to actually protect yourself from danger and harm. And so that's just one thing that comes to my mind. But there's another thing I want to bring up. When you mentioned, Dr. B, that a person says, I can't, right? The thing with that is when the family member says, I can't kick him out. Well, here for me, what stands out is it seems like a real limitation, like the person who says that they really cannot. But in fact, it is just an imagined limitation. And there is, and this is where I want to go with it as well when I sit down with the family member, say, well, you know, you believe that this limitation actually exists. And that's where part of the problem, that you're kind of lost and really imprisoned by this reality. But this is part of the disorder, thinking that there are certain things that you cannot overcome. And that goes back to the title of empowerment, I believe, where we can help them with true empowerment, for them to realize that there is a different reality. There is a tangible reality out there, outside of the imaginary reality, that things are possible. We just have to put the hard work, and we have to learn the skills to engage in that process. That's what empowerment is, to me, at least.
Can I say?
Please.
Yeah, one thing stood out to me. It's echoing, I think.
Yeah. And I see you, Nicole. We'll get you on in a minute. Please, Parham, go ahead.
Okay. Yeah, so when family members say that I can't think, because that's a really good point, by the way, I always like, there's something that we tell people that are addicts, alcoholics, if you want to label them that, it's a strategy we tell them to use for relapse prevention. It's called playing the tape forward. Sometimes I tell family members, let's play the tape forward. Let's say that you kicked your loved one as an experiment out of the house. First, before you do it, you have to let them know the reason I'm doing so is because of my boundaries. But if you want to get help, I will definitely do my best to support you in getting help. So as long as they know that's established. Now, when you play the tape forward, if your kid's not used to being out in the streets, this is what's going to happen. They're going to spend a bunch of nights, most likely couch hopping, going from friend to friend to the best of their ability. Eventually, the family member is going to say, hey, this kid can't stay here anymore. There might stay a few nights in the street if you still want to choose to let them have the car that I'm assuming you're paying for. They'll sleep in the car for a little bit. And most often than not, and I can't say in all cases because that would be irresponsible, most cases, often than not, they reach back out to the family and say, I can't live on the streets anymore. Because here's a true fact, and this is, I don't have the exact statistics, most overdoses happen inside the home, inside the bedroom, inside of the walls of your house. They don't happen out in the street when you kick someone out. They go out there and they realize, I can't do this. Most kids can't handle being out in the streets, by the way. It's not the easiest thing in the world. If you're living in a cold city, you know, a lot of the cold cities in the United States, and you say, you can't use in my house anymore, figure out what you want to do, they'll come back quicker than you think so, by the way. You know, if you're out in the beach city, sometimes they can stay out a little bit more, but always play the tape forward. Get professional help to help you see that tape, because your first vision is they're going to die. But it might be 10, 12, 15 different things that potentially could happen. It helps you, again, build the psychological, emotional muscles to make that tough decision.
Those are both fantastic. Let me bring Nicole on. But I want to, if I may, I want to address both of those because I have more questions for the both of you regarding that. Let me see how I can bring Nicole on. I see her down here. I guess I just push add to stream. There she is.
Hey, guys.
Hi, Nicole.
I want to share like an example, and then I wondered if you guys could talk about it a little bit. So my husband and I are both addicts, and we're both in recovery. Last year, my husband started struggling with his recovery, and he relapsed, and he was in a relapse for basically all of 2020. And my knee-jerk reaction was to like go into like savior mode and try to like control every single thing he was doing. So I was like taking the keys away, taking the credit cards away, driving him to work. And it was literally driving me insane as a person in recovery who was trying to maintain my own recovery. And so I started reading this book about codependency one day, and it all hit me like a ton of bricks. Like I was basically centering my whole life around saving him from hitting rock bottom. And so the moment I backed off and stopped like calling in for him and taking his car away and doing all those things I was doing to stop him from hitting the ground, he hit the ground, and now he's coming up on 90 days sober. And it's like he's had this epiphany now because he finally had to experience the consequences of his actions, which was losing his job. And although that affected me and our family, it was better that way, because now he sees like, okay, I don't want to do that ever again. And it's like, I know that there's probably a lot of other addicts that are just like me, who have family members or their husbands or wives, they both got sober together, and then one of them starts to struggle. Like, what do you think that those people should do? How should they handle it? You know, it's like, I feel like what I went through, I had to learn and go through it, because even though I know so much about the disease of addiction and I help other people all the time, when it came down to my emotional attachment, me and my husband, it was so hard for me to separate that and realize, like, this is the disease. I was blaming myself. I was saying, oh, he must not really love us. If he loved me and my son, then he wouldn't do this to us. And I know that's not the truth, because I know I loved my son and he got taken from me. You know what I mean? But that was automatically what my mind went to. He must not love us. And I just, it was so hard. It was like, it was the hardest thing I've ever been through in my whole entire life, honestly, besides having Nathaniel taken away, going through Neil's relapse and worrying about him all the time. It was the hardest thing I've ever went through. So I just thought that maybe y'all could talk about that too a little bit.
Gentlemen, I'll let you guys are the experts in this area. I have my thoughts, but you guys own this.
Sure. Sure. Oh, thank you. First of all, congrats on the 90 days or getting 90 days again. What I see happen there, based on the kind of the overview that you gave, was, expectation is the root of all heartbreak. That's Shakespeare says that, I think. And, sometimes when we get clean and sober with someone, we think that we're just going to live this perfect life and everyone's going to be sober forever. When in reality, statistics shows that may or may not be the case, right? We have to get real with what statistic is. And it also shows the importance of continuing to do our own work. Because when that day happens, and it might not be a relapse, it might be something happens in life that really tests our emotions. Someone passes away, we lose a job, we get a heartbreak, something happens in life, and we get dysregulated the way you got dysregulated. And what we do is, when things fall out of equilibrium, we try to scramble. We lose our objectivity, we try to scramble, we try to control, we try to change, we try to force. And what happened is, after a little bit of time went by, you were able to step back and you were able to read a book, probably something by Melody Beattie on codependency or something along those lines, right?
Yep.
Maybe you started to participate in some Al-Anon groups. Maybe you started to go to some codependency groups. And maybe you started to find yourself first, right? Because you lose yourself in that mix. Once you find yourself and you get objective with it and you give other people the space to find their own recovery, that's where they can actually start to find out what the heck's going on with their life. Because like you said, if you continue to rescue people from the natural consequences of their actions, those actions will continue to repeat over and over and over again until you stop doing that cycle. Now, does that mean that this is going to work 100% of the time? No, but at least you'll be able to have your sanity back. You'll be able to be you. You'll be able to breathe, think clearly, and manage your own life. Go to work, take care of your kid. I mean, the stuff that doesn't stop with the relapse of another loved one. So continue doing your own work. I say that to anybody. When we do get emotionally dysregulated, reach out for help, find some resources. They're out there. There's thousands of resources out there for this kind of stuff. And just continue on the journey of recovery. So good job on you. I'm glad you came around, because you kept this enabling process for a long period of time. That's what I got.
I love that. Dr. G, please go ahead. And I have some thoughts, but I'm going to hold off. Go ahead.
That's interesting. For me, I actually would like to take that concept of expectation that's very true, Parham brought up, and into the realm of existentialism. That is definitely the root of all heartbreak and, unhappiness and disappointments and things like that. But interestingly, what has stood out for me is, this expectation that hardship or bad stuff, these heartbreaking events should not happen to us. That's part of the problem. When we kind of live life and it's on a roll, we are doing stuff and things are okay, and then suddenly what existentialists say, an event is thrown at you. A life-changing event is thrown at you. The first thing we do is we ask ourselves the question, why me? Why now? Why my family? As if this shouldn't be happening. And a lot of times, which, by the way, I've learned it the hard way myself, is not just a textbook material, I think the solution is with something that also acceptance commitment therapy promotes, is that you got to come to accept that hardship is part of life, part of anyone's life. Disappointments, these failures, setbacks, unexpected, blows that we receive from life is just part of life. And when you come to accept that, then you actually start also building certain capacity, because we are actually resilient. Human beings, despite all the deficiencies and problems and all kinds of issues that they may have, they are very resilient. That's how our brain is developed and structured. It's in our DNA to overcome many of these things. Now, as you mentioned, people go back to possibly learning, reading a book, listening to music, reaching out to an expert or even family members. Basically, there are a bunch of resources that are available. But first and foremost, that's why I called it existentialism, is that question, that expectation of these things should not be happening to us is faulty. We have to first fix that and really just accept the fact that why not? Why is it not supposed to happen to me? I'm just another human being. Things do happen to all of us, and we just have to roll with it. We have to deal with it, learn how to deal with this hardship in life.
That's fantastic. Couple of things. Well, actually, first let me tell, hey guys on TikTok, you guys are asking questions. I'm not really looking at that, and we want the whole team to see their questions. We can't answer anything. We're really focusing on family dynamics, empowerment, enabling today, but we're always open to anything. Hop on the YouTube, Dr. B Addiction Recovery. We do have a real treat today. Not only do we have Parham, which we'll do this weekly, we have Dr. G with us today. Hop on the YouTube, ask your question. We will try to answer it. You guys on YouTube, get into queue. Ask Nicole how to do it. We're here to answer your questions. I see all kinds of them coming on. Dr.
Hey,
G.
Dr. B.
Yeah.
I'm going to go to the chat and link the so people can come up and ask questions. But I'm going to be listening. But I just wanted to share that because I know that a lot of other people are probably going through the same thing. I know a lot of people who the boyfriend and girlfriend, husband and wife, brother and sister get sober together, and then one of them kind of starts struggling. So what to do. So I'm going to go back out though, so that way I can link the link for everybody. Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye, you guys.
Bye. Good to see you,
Bye.
Nicole. You know what's a couple points. When you were talking about the ups and downs in life, it just reminded me of one of the most profound things a psychologist ever told me. And this guy was a psychologist of some repute. He was a Gestalt therapist. He taught at the university here, well published. And one day, this is many years ago, and it's funny the kind of work you guys do, because every once in a while you guys say something and it just sinks in and opens up so much understanding, so much possibilities, which hopefully leads to behavioral change and a better insight into oneself. And you just said one thing. He stopped me one day. He said, "Fareed, I got some news for you." I said, "Yeah." So, bad things are going to happen to you just like they happen to everyone else. Get over it. And I was like, wow. And as simple as that communication is, gentlemen, it was profound, which is what Dr. G was kind of just pointing out to right there. So that's it's interesting that we're kind of where'd Dr. G go? Did we lose him? Oh, yeah. Let me bring him back on.
I'm good.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So it's what you guys were just talking about, and this is why I think engaging with the therapist is important. I want to add one more thing to this whole therapy thing, at least from my perspective. Over the years, this is my take on it, and this might be useful for folks out there that deal with you guys. Finding a good number one, you got to find a knowledgeable therapist, and these guys are fantastic. So, I deal with them and work with them. But the thing about therapy is it's an ongoing process from my perspective, okay? And you don't go once and magic happens. And I think that's important to know. When a mother, let's say, comes to Parham, Dr. G asks something, sure, you can use that to change your immediate behavior. But I want to make sure that I really emphasize the importance of good behavioral mental health professional and what they can do for you in the long run. And it's an ebb and flow thing. And in fact, tell me if I'm wrong, gentlemen, most people, even with their own therapist, they'll fall in and out of therapy over periods of time. And that's okay. You might miss a few for a few months back. And so even in this situation, I think it's important to point out, and I just kind of want to highlight that it's so crucial to understand the nature of behavioral and mental health professionals, and how this is a process and you should see change over time. So I just want to point that out regarding that issue. But I think you guys have really captured the essence of the way parents should approach this.
Right on, man. Thank you. Looking forward to taking some calls from people when they come in. That'll be interesting.
I think Nicole is just putting it up now, and we had questions on YouTube as well.
I do have to apologize. At 3 p.m. I have to go into a family session, but so in a few minutes I have to log off. But
that's okay. If you guys want to catch the both of them, jump on now. Otherwise, me and Parham will be here a while, and I see again a few questions here and there on TikTok. But if you guys got questions, there was one out here. Let me find these questions that these guys are asking and highlight them. Let's see here. If not, we can move on to explore this topic some more, and we'll see what they got to do. I'm dealing with it. It's not easy. I'm taking it honestly, sometimes hour by hour. Crystal, you want to come on and get some feedback from these guys? Here's Crystal's question. Sorry, you gave me permission to put it up here. So there's Crystal. Crystal, if you want to pop on here and get some feedback from these guys, I do understand how taxing and difficult these domestic issues are. And at times when there's children involved, it's even more difficult. John, here's one from John as well. John, come on and ask. Yeah, I think these gentlemen were actually referring, all of us, because of professional licenses, we are referring to 18. I do understand what you're saying about 25. We all agree with you and understand. And in fact, I'm glad you brought this up, John, because most of that, and I was going to bring that up to Parham. By the way, for all of you out there, I think all three of us deal with 18 and over. We could do 18 and younger, but it's a whole nother bunch of hoops to step through. But I wanted to bring it up to Parham as he brought this up. Kids kicking out. A lot of these guys are like in their 30s and late 20s, guys, and they're at home. And you'll see mom and dad really interacting with them. We kind of know why. But, you see them being taken care of like 10-year-old. So a lot of these guys are much older. Any thoughts on that or any comments on that, gentlemen?
Because I have to kind of drop off, if you don't mind, I'm going to just throw in my 2 cents and then say bye. Sure. I think there is, in terms of, I would say, life experience, that's a big distinction for me, where even people up to 25 don't necessarily have enough just regular life experience, securing a job, being in a relationship, living on their own, and so forth. So to me, that is very much like an 18-year-old or 17-year-old or 15-year-old, in that sense, beyond the fact of neurobiological, development and so forth. But then you're right, like you could even have somebody at 35 years of age or 40 years of age thinking, again, going back to that decision-making model, making erroneous decisions just like a 15-year-old. But that's a little bit of a different story. That's all I have to say. Guys, thank you so much. I got to go. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Dr.
G. Thank you. Let's do this again. Appreciate your feedback. Parham, any thoughts on that?
Yeah, absolutely. So, John, thank you for that question. First and foremost, I was primarily referring to legality, but in terms of brain development, and I actually believe 25, 26 years old, the prefrontal cortex is still developing. People tend to be more impulsive. People make worse decisions. So all that kind of stuff. I agree with you wholeheartedly. The other thing too is in regards to the adult child. The adult child's a whole different version than the legal child. The adult child is a person that's 27, 28, 30 years old, living at home with mom and dad, not by choice, but because their addiction is to the point that it's crippled their life, and the parents are just carrying the addict, carrying the addiction. So good distinction there. And thank you for asking that. And anytime there's anything that you guys want clarified more, I don't have the live stream up. Maybe that's something I could learn to do for the questions that are coming through. But feel free to ask, and we'll definitely answer them so we can have clarity as we speak.
We'll get that up for you. I do have a thought on this, and I'll put up the next question. And John, thanks. John is right. So we do know these things purely from functional MRIs. In Western complex cultural societies, the brain continues to develop until 25. And a lot of that is the prefrontal and frontal cortex. The rule of thumb is whatever age you start the heavy use, your brain stops there. So, and you do see that reflected in the clients. He started at 14, he's 26 now, but acts like a 14-year-old. And this is interesting. In fact, if you go to less complex societies, brains develop much earlier. So that is the case on that. And so that was all I have to say. Hey, let me put this one up from Derek. Sorry. Let me put this one. I thought was pretty cool. Any thoughts on that? Derek Robb says, I've heard of parents paying off drug debts. It's not just the morality. You are destroying the child with learned helplessness. Parham, please.
Yeah, I mean, I don't believe the parents should be paying off drug debts. The thing about it is, like, at the time that it was happening was the level of fear, the level of actual security, safety. I mean, it's such a case-by-case situation, in terms of what was really going on. Could the cops been involved? Was there fear? Was there actually risks of violence happening to the house? Was there real it's so vague. But I don't believe that parents in the recovery process, I mean this, and I saw a question that came before that, I don't believe that parents should pay off anything that has to do with the consequences of addiction. And I really do believe in that, because here's the thing. Remember the difference between helping and enabling. If you pay something that someone should be doing on their own, then that's enabling a behavior. And I'll stick to that forever, because parents do it out of fear. I'm sure those parents did it because their back was against the wall and they were terrified, and their loved one had put them in a situation that was maybe manipulative or just fear driven. But I don't believe in that either myself, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I have to agree. And Derek, I think just from a clinical perspective, I try to look at everything case by case. I really try not to put but in general, I agree absolutely with him. And I do know one of my clients here in Southern California, his father is very well to do. And the young man was actually involved with some real high up gangsters from south of the border. And on a couple of occasions, dad paid off huge sums of, it actually wasn't drug use. I think it was drug dealing stuff or whatever. So, it's case by case. And I agree with you 100%, Parham. And Derek, thank you for the question. Let's take it. Hey, guys, we love it when you actually come on. Jump on here. Don't be shy. This is from Randy. what do you do when you like your therapist and you have a good rapport, but it's not therapeutic like at all? Easily, I'm laughing because it's just kind of funny. It's like my therapist is my butt cool or something. I know, I understand. Easily over 6 months, twice a week. Parham, please, this is your area again.
Okay, Randy. Well, I mean, it goes back down to this. It's like, what's the outcome you're looking for? Like, when you meet with a therapist, what is it that you're trying to achieve? What goals do you have? What is it that you want to work on? How do you want to work on that? And that's the main reason why you're in that therapeutic relationship. Now, if you're going there to get your social needs met, if you're going there to get some validation, if you're going there just to have someone to connect to, you're probably not finding that in the right setting. Right. And then here, I don't know what you mean by good rapport. It's not therapeutic. Is if there's any type of probably physical attraction, if there's anything that's counter transference, if you're feeling things you shouldn't be feeling in that therapeutic setting, that's all going to cloud and dilute your ability to actually get what it is you're looking for. So it's a lot of insight and awareness for you to be able to realize this. Some people don't even realize this, by the way. And in general, the last part, the twice a week for therapy, depending on, why you're going. Sometimes people do this for trauma and a specific reason for it. But if you're just going twice a week for therapy, it's probably a little excessive after 6 months. That's just my outside perspective, not knowing you, not knowing your therapist, not knowing the situation, just reading it. And that's a case conceptualization. That's what I got.
Parham, let me ask you, this is great. You brought that up. I don't necessarily agree with this, but you can inform me. Sure. I heard a therapist we were talking and said usually you should achieve your goals in 10 sessions, which I can't imagine it. If anyone's doing psychotherapy, which I think is coming back into popularity, I can't imagine that happening because the joke with that is, when does it end? But in general, some of these issues are complex. Is that a real thing? And I do think this is quite excessive without any outcomes, but is that the way it's looked at? 10 sessions and you should get there?
I would be cautious of any person that's in a therapeutic space that's dealing with people that are all different, having a specific number to achieve a certain outcome, because you have no idea who that person is, how far they are from the goals they want to get to, what they've experienced in life. And as you get into a therapeutic relationship with someone and you start the process, more unveils itself, more is revealed as you go through the process. So I always am cautious of getting any type of, number ahead of time about what this is going to take, because it's different for everyone. It really is. And it's, I try to avoid those kind of gimmicky sales pitches. Great.
Randy, I hope that does answer your question. I am going to move on here to look at some of these, and we'll get you on here, Parham. There's Randy again. Randy, I think we got Randy. Are you come? Oh, there's Amanda. Okay, Randy, I hope we answered your question. If not, come up here, because I'm curious to find out about your therapeutic relationship. 6 months, twice a week does seem a little excessive. Hope you're getting something out of it. Here is Amanda. I think we know Amanda. Hi, Amanda.
Hi, guys. Okay, so this one's a little embarrassing. So my husband and I are both recovering addicts. He's been recovering for a little over 8 years. I have 38 days today with the help of Sublocade. So my deal is for him to get sober, I ended up having to kick him out. Honestly, for me, that would not have worked. But how do I get past being jealous of him being sober for so long when I haven't been able to get it? Does that make sense? I know that sounds really selfish. But
let Parham take the lead on this, Parham. Yeah. So you take the lead. I'll add in at the end.
So what, can you tell me a little bit about the embarrassment that you said this is a little embarrassing? Tell me about that.
Because I shouldn't be selfish of somebody's sobriety, or I shouldn't be embarrassed, or I shouldn't be jealous of somebody's sobriety. I should be happy for him. And I am, but I'm also jealous.
Can I ask you something, Amanda, real quick? And just because I know time sensitive here.
Oh, I'm going to cry.
When you say you should be, you shouldn't be, you shouldn't be, you should be, who came up with all those?
I guess that was me.
Yeah. And then these levels of expectations you have on how you're supposed to be in a relationship. Where did you set those? Where did you create those?
I don't know.
Yeah, I know. That's the work right there. Because I'll tell you this, congratulations on your 8 days of recovery. Congratulations to your husband for his 8 years of recovery. None of that stuff, it's not about the days. It's about the quality of the days. The quantity of the days don't matter as much as the quality of the days do, right? We all have one day right now. As you're talking to me, you, your husband, we all have just today. And if you choose to focus on what you don't have right now, you're going to miss what's right in front of you. Is the fact that you're 38 days clean and sober, on Sublocade, in recovery, walking the same journey side by side with your husband and many, many other people out there. So you can't lose sight of what you're doing today because of all the things you don't have. And then the therapeutic work right there for you becomes find out when you put all these expectations. Because I'll guarantee you this, that I should be this or I shouldn't be that. You don't just have this about your husband's recovery. You have those about so many things in your life. And I don't know what they are, but that's what you got to find out. Is who set these things in Gestalt ways. They call this introjections. They're voices that are usually placed on us from the outside by society, but maybe a critical parent, maybe the way we think things are supposed to be. And then we lose sight of our own voice versus that voice. So you got to find Amanda's voice, right? And make peace with that because there's some healing in that.
May I add something?
Yeah.
So that Amanda, I was going right where he's going, where he went, and he gave you some fantastic advice. This issue, the only thing I had to add was that it's not just with the issue you're having with him and sobriety. I am certain this is an issue in many areas of your life for many years of your life and has long, deep historical roots. Okay. And I commend you for coming on here. Let me point something out. I'm just going to get into the gestalt of what's happening here. Nothing happened. Nobody judges you, and you're that much more powerful for coming on.
Thank you.
Okay, so I am doing, in theory, as I understand these issues, what you need to do in everything that Parham just pointed out. You got to address these things. And let me make something really clear. Whoever created this in the first place, all the toxicity in your life, the only person that matters of who and what thinks of you is you. And you got to be there if you have children or people you're responsible for. Find yourself in yourself, and who gives a crap about the outside world? You got to sleep okay at night. Trust me, it doesn't matter what anybody thinks. And I don't mean this in a way, go out and kill a bunch of people and who cares, that's what you want to do. What I'm saying is intimately tied up in that is your empathy, your moral compass, right? Your connection to the world. The rest of it, do not try to, don't worry about it. So take this, what just happened right now, use it as a tool. You got all these great days sober, and like Parham said, one day, today, okay? And those, you ever hear the Gorilla song, Tomorrow Comes Today? It will come. And every one of those days that you have attempted to do better counts. Norman Mailer, an American author, some of you may know, beginning of one of his books, I used to read all of his novels, starts off with something like, I woke up today and I was going to, something to this effect. I woke up today and I was going to quit smoking. I failed. Thank God there's tomorrow. And I've been doing this for 20 years. That's a great attitude, right? So take this today. Nothing happened. In fact, I'm going to say you were empowered and you are a different person, and move forward with it. And we're here to support you 100%. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Amanda.
Thanks, guys.
That was a great question, and I love it. It's just fantastic, and you gave her I love that, and it's educational for me. Let's keep moving down. Allison, get on here. I mean, this is look at Allison. I clicked on the link below and I look horrible, so I'm not. Come on, Allison, please come on and ask your question. It's really important to us, so think about it. By the way, Randy did let us know her therapist is gay. I think she let us know, yeah.
Okay.
But she's putting it on the comments. I don't have one promise next time. I will be ready for any show. Here's Allison. Okay, fine, Allison. That's up to you.
The good news, Allison, is that we're going to be here every single Sunday. So you have many Sundays to choose from, and we look forward to seeing your face next week.
Yes, we do. Marie, I mean, come on here and share if you want to. Give us a little something. Yes, come on, Randy. I don't know why everyone's so shy today and they're just putting it up on here. No, it's not. It doesn't matter, Randy. If you want to come on. All questions are open, even though we're kind of focusing on this family thing. Okay. What is your question, Gold? It's hard to keep up on this. I keep telling you guys, come on here. Tell me your question, Gold, please. Is she there?
Let me see.
Let's see if she asked.
Let me see if I can open up my YouTube also and mute it so it doesn't echo. And then maybe I could help find some questions too.
And then we got I can answer this, be glad. I mean, what do you want to know about winning? You know, it's off topic, but if you want to, I don't know what you want to know. Sure, I can talk for the next 10 hours on winning off Suboxone. If you ask me a particular question, because you know, so just for the sake, oh, here's Randy. And then, oh, here's Randy. And yes, okay. All right, Randy, let's see what we can do for you. And there's Yolanda. I don't know how to do all this. This is too complicated. Yolanda, oh yeah, Yolanda does have a question. Yolanda, come on and let me get through Randy here. Hi, Randy. How are you?
Hey, I'm good. I just wanted to elaborate on that. My therapist, there's no blurred lines. That's why I said, like, he's cool. He's 15 years my junior. He's gay. There's no, romantic interest. It's nothing like that. But I feel like it's a whole lot more shooting the shit, and that's how we wound up going from the once a week to twice a week, and that's why because I mean, I don't know if this is ethical or not, but I know entirely too much about his own life story and background, but that's my own inquisitive nature because we have a back and forth, and like I don't have the stage, and that's fine because I'm interested in his personal story. So it is kind of like what you're saying, like I'm getting like social interaction, like it's the wrong place for it. I'm not going there looking for it. It's just that, the conversation branches off and then we've gone tangent to tangent to tangent and we've excavated nothing of what I was in there to do. And I specifically requested somebody who is trauma informed because I'm sure like most of us, a lot of our addiction issues come from a history where trauma has never been dealt with or healed or, and I kind of feel like that's the crux of the issue and that kind of needs to be dealt with. Otherwise, it's always going to be there. But we never, for 6 months of twice a week, it's all been pretty surface level and like basic CBT, I don't think is going to do it for me. I think I need some other tools in the toolbox and other excavating tools to get the digging done. And I feel like after 6 months, like some things should start having come up and gotten some preliminary work done on. And so now I'm 6 months in and like trying to get to a better place where I feel more stable so I can start a taper process off of my Xanax, because as I am right now, I'm not in a stable place. And from everything that I understand, in a state of destabilization, you don't want to first start tapering because it's not necessarily going to go so well. So I was just trying to, get to a more stable place before I introduced yet another potentially traumatic experience in terms of inviting withdrawal and all that good stuff in.
Randy, you look so much better this week than last week. You seem a lot more at peace.
Oh, you know why? Because I'm properly dosed up now.
Okay.
Because I'm in the place of interdose withdrawal. So I'm, effectively really destabilized because I'm intolerance. And so I'm effectively, I can only assume, because I'm not like tapering and I'm not off. So I can only assume that this interdose withdrawal and destabilization that I'm feeling is somewhat analogous to what withdrawal is like. But yeah, I don't feel stable. But last time I talked to you, I was probably, outside where I should have dosed, because, as you know, Xanax is short acting, and I was probably like fiending at that point, but distracted enough to be talking to you, and, so off schedule. So that's why I sound better.
You need to take our advice from last week, please do. And we are here every week. I want to see you address that issue and have long-term sort of stable, moving towards a more stable mental health and physical stuff in the long term. And come every week. And again, your therapist issue, I'll let Parham, if he has any thoughts on that.
Yeah, I don't know if it's just not the right fit. CBT seems to be his tool, his bag of tricks. And, I asked him if he knew anything about EMDR or anything that was, maybe a little bit more trauma informed, like somatic experiencing.
I would say this is, Randy, just remember that you are an active participant in your own therapeutic process. So one of the questions I always recommend people to ask when they feel stuck with a therapist is to inquire about the treatment plan. What does my treatment plan look like? What are the goals? What are the objectives? What are the time frames? I mean, all these things need to be there in a therapeutic process. So it'll at least get you more information about what the direction of this is headed. And if it's not headed anywhere, then it is an important time to be able to kind of maybe seek out something that's a better fit, and I'm not saying your therapist might be an amazing human being and it might be, a very effective therapist and all that kind of stuff like that. But you got to make sure that the treatment plan that you're in is something that's getting you to the goals that you want to get to, right? And the outcomes that you want to achieve. So, but yeah, you got it.
Yeah, you're right. It's like, I feel bad. I don't want to break up with him because I like him, because he's a good guy. We have that good rapport, and, we can laugh and joke, and I have that hour of things aren't so bad.
I'll tell you this real quick, Randy. This will be the best work that you could do with this guy. That's exactly where you headed with people pleasing, with saying, hey, I need to break up with people, places, and things, but I always stick in situations longer than possible because I feel bad. Because I guarantee you this, you've done this so many times in your life, not just with this therapist. At some point, you have to break the cycle of people pleasing, because you're the person that you have to please the most. And you can't put yourself second when you put other people ahead of you. So that could be a good place for you and him to work through. You might even have some breakthroughs in that area with him.
Even if all he can do you think that CBT can still be a beneficial thing? Maybe that's all he does.
There's something called a therapeutic termination of treatment, by the way. So it allows human beings to be able to learn how to end things or transition from things in a healthy manner that they wouldn't do on their own devices. So a termination that's therapeutically done and with the proper steps to it can actually help you start doing that in other areas of your life when you need to terminate.
But in layman's terms, that's still breaking up with my therapist, and then kind of
maybe
doctor shopping.
Maybe. Yeah.
It's not doctor shopping.
Yeah.
I mean,
well, not in the way where doctor shopping, trying to get my benzos.
Yeah, it's
I have to try them on, and they're not always great.
Look, it's a completely legitimate, as I said, if you don't have an ebb and flow with your therapist and
Yeah.
there's not progress being made, which is common, I think it's really important to have that click where it's therapeutic. So think about it. Think about what Parham's saying. And I think he nailed it. And I think he caught something here that's really critical.
About patterns that go on in other areas. Yeah.
And you're seeing it. You're almost seeing the therapist at this point to please him. You don't want to hurt his feelings. Think about how ludicrous that is. I mean, he might be a great guy, but this is something you should bring up. You should go about it in a professional, mature way. Tell him that.
I can do that.
Tell him, I love hanging out with you. And in fact, some guys brought this up. You're a great therapist, but our relationship the way it is, and I'm going to tell you how I feel right now. I like coming here so much, and I don't want to offend you, hurt your feelings or anything.
We could be friends. If we terminate our working relationship, we can have coffee.
Please try that, okay?
Yeah.
Okay.
If you have any resources for for the type of therapy that I might benefit more from, because I feel like maybe CBT isn't it. I'm not, informed enough to know what is it, if it's like a person fit or if it's the modality fit. But
you want me to make a suggestion?
Yeah.
Again, I always preface this. I don't really know you. I can't give you direct, advice or guidance or feedback. But based on what I've noticed from you for the past few weeks, we have a little bit of a rapport. I noticed that you're a lot in you're really cognitive. You're a lot in your head. And usually for those individuals, the best thing you could do is to travel from up here down here. So finding a therapist that can get you in touch with you and out of your highly your fast moving mind, and just get you into the body and get you into yourself and get you in touch with your emotions and your feelings and finding out where you are in there, Randy. Once you find you, that's where the real work's going to begin, because you're really good at the whole distracting and using your thoughts and stuff like that.
Yes. Yeah, so how do you get me in here? Like, what's the modality to get me in here? Is that like somatic experiencing? Like, is that?
There's various forms. Yes, somatic therapist. There's Gestalt therapist. There's psychodynamic. I mean, there's a lot of different modalities. So.
I don't know if you're able to consult with me and get a better idea of like who I am and what I need, but
it's feel free. Yeah, send a message. We'll continue the conversation offline for sure.
Okay, I would love that, because I don't want to monopolize. Again, my people pleasing is like I'm taking too much time. I did this last time. That's why I felt bad coming on again. It just feels like this isn't the topic. I'm off topic. I'm abusing. So that's
okay. On anytime. Do that, and we'll follow up with you. Okay.
Okay. I'll get in touch with Nicole and see if she can put me in touch and see where to go from there.
Okay.
All right. Thanks for your time again. Okay.
Okay. Nicole, bye guys. Bye, Randy. Randy. No, I'm looking at too many names here. We'll see you, Randy. Take care.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye.
Nicole, can you help Yolanda? It just says her device is not connected, but meanwhile, Gold Dust asked that question, and I can't find her other question. I just had it. Oh, here it is. I'll scroll up some more. It's weird. It just keeps going to the same. This one's for Parham, actually. For some reason, I had Gold Dust this thing up, and maybe I'm not understanding how to do this chat thing, but I'm scrolled all the way to the top, and I don't see Gold. Oh, yeah. Huh. It's up here somewhere, and there's so many comments that I can't get to the top. How do I do this, Nicole, or...
I'm trying too. It's not going all the way to the top. It's like stopping at some level over there. I remember I read her question. I need to get some clarification. That's why if she was here live, it would help. But it said something along the lines of 26 years, but not being sober. And then it also talked about early recovery and sobriety and emotion. So I just need to know if it's someone that's after a relapse or someone that's never found recovery, because that's two completely different situations. And when it comes, Yeah.
And then she asked about that, which I thought was also for you. She asked about the type of people around her, I think. Did you see that one?
Yeah, I believe it said something along the line. I wish we had an exact question. Something along cocooning an individual with people that are supportive. If that's the case, that's wonderful. Okay, so she said you had it up before.
Yeah, I know. If you could write it again, because for some reason our thing is not scrolling all the way up. Okay, Goldust. So we will. If you could write it again, we'll put it back up. So we're gonna move. I think Yolanda does really have a question, and if Nicole can help her get on, and then let's go to. Is it Dana? Dana Spies? Is that German? Okay. Does a recovering seek a happiness that's not obtainable? My fiance says he is always depressed and will change his meds, and he feels great the first few days. I feel it's still a happy high he is seeking. I'm going to leave that to you as well, and I'll comment on it from my perspective.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Dana, I'm going to leave the second part of it about the adjustment to medications, new medications, the change of mood, all that stuff to Dr. B, as he could probably talk a little bit with more professionalism than I can. But I'm going to talk about, is happiness and recovery sustainable? So I always tell people this, is expectations in early recovery is a very dangerous thing. So people get clean and sober, and they expect, just because they stop the use of a drug or a behavior, that all of a sudden their entire psyche and their outlook of life is going to change. Unfortunately, that's false. That's a false premise. It's a faulty expectations. It's dangerous thinking. So it takes time. So the question is, when someone becomes clean and sober, why are they becoming clean and sober? Is it specifically for you in your relationship? Is it for some children involved? Is it for a job? Is it to get someone off their back? Is there some type of an external motivation? External motivation doesn't change our outlook, unfortunately. It just provides initial motivation. However, internal motivation. So if your husband is able to go through the challenges of early recovery, go through the depression, go through the anhedonia, go through the lack of pleasure in things that he once found pleasure in, and get to a point that he realizes, hey, I'm actually doing this for myself. I'm doing this because I want to live a life free of drugs and alcohol, because I'm experiencing joy and pleasure in things I never thought I would before. Sometimes when people experience things they used to do as a child, clean and sober, for the first time in like 30 years, they start laughing and giggling and stuff like that, because that's available and accessible to us if we get through that initial hump. So when he gets through realizing I'm doing this for myself, the possibility of him achieving a happiness or positive outlook is going to be available to him, but it's just not right off the bat, unfortunately. So medications in the beginning, I'm going to pass this off perfectly. They are very helpful in this initial stage, and I'm sure Doctor could talk about why.
Sure. And I'm going to be a little reserved on my answer here, simply because there's a medication involved as well. But it's difficult for me to answer because I don't have any time of being clean. I don't know if we're talking about stimulants, cocaine, methamphetamines, heroin, benzos, all of that. And then I don't know if there's any psychiatric diagnoses. And so I think once all of that is, I have information, all of that, in addition to what Parham stated, we can really achieve a long-term recovery. But I have a suspicion here, before he can even get to there, I have a suspicion here something is not being addressed from my side, the clinical side, okay? I don't know if this guy was on subs. Did he taper off too early? And is he one of the people that is not too many, but not too few, that need to be on long-term maintenance? Is he still, like Parham said, early in his, because if you've been doing stimulants a long time, it takes a while for things to come back online. So there's a lot of unknowns here, but I do think that, and Parham hit a lot of it on the head here, but I think for the long-term picture, these issues have to be addressed, and I don't know. I get a hold of Nicole if this is a really big issues, or call me if you're in California. And I'm sorry, that's as much as I can really say. I think that if I had to give you an answer, is that my question is, depending on the drug and how long he's been clean, my concern would be that the medication management is not appropriate. And that's what I have to say. If you want to come on, you are welcome to.
Yeah, I saw a doctor. I just saw her write a comment saying he's been clean for a year on Suboxone. So I don't know if he's on Suboxone or he's been clean off a year, but it sounds like it's a Suboxone for a year.
Mm-hmm. All right. And so I'm sorry, I work very detailed if you were my patient.
That's awesome, by the way. Thank you, by the way, for I'm learning so much from. I appreciate you, Dr. B. I really mean that, because most people will just give some answer, some cookie cutter, like a knee-jerk reaction response to a question like that. And just the fact that you conceptualize this human being and needing additional information to even be able to have a starting point is refreshing for me. And I love and appreciate it on a personal level.
I feel the same about you. I feel bad not being able to answer, but I have to be, I have to tell him. So that's great. So I know it's a year, and I'm going to assume there's no other substance involved. So now my question, the first thing I'd want to know is, and I get into real details, what dose of substance is he on? And what is the issue in a 24-hour period in terms of anxiety, depression, sleep, and a whole bunch of other stuff. And then from there, I would move on. Oftentimes, I have to deal with anxiety that is caused by the addiction, or was it from before the addiction? I'd look at depression and any other psychiatric issues, including bipolar and so forth. And then I try to figure it out. That's the best I can do, Dana, because I have a good feeling that the answer lies somewhere in that mystery. And Nicole has seen how I work with my patients. I really, I don't believe there is a solution that we cannot approach and solve. So look at those things. If he has a great doctor, please go to him. And I hope that helps something. Parham, anything else on that one?
No, that was wonderful. And just, I mean, there was a few, Dana was speaking, saying thank you for noticing it. I just realized how to use the side chat. So in support to you, I can also be on here to see if there's any questions that pop up. I'll be able to answer some questions in terms of in our live talk and be able to catch some things that otherwise I didn't know how to do. So now I know how to use the feature. So if any questions come up, any comments, and it's in a timely manner, I'll do my best to provide support.
Just throw them up, and I'm gonna keep moving down because I'm kind of getting the hang of it. Tina says hi to us. Hi, Tina. Oh, it's Tina Zamora. Hi, Tina. How are you? Okay, let me. Oh, geez, they disappeared again. I had to. Oh, here it is. Okay, this might be. I've numbered my emotions with it for 2 years now. He tells me it's horrible to stop, and I think he wants me on it because I buy it from him. Did I miss a question on that one, Parham?
No, it's not too clear.
No, I mean, I think there might have been a question. I've numbed is what they're trying to say. B Glam, I'm sorry. If there's a first part, I missed it. We are trying to get to everybody. So we'll keep moving. Come on. Come on. Oh, there's Yolanda. Okay, Yolanda. She's apparently been trying to really ask something for a while. So I'm so sorry. Poor Yolanda. She's been on TikTok, I think. And since I have you here, Yolanda, I just can't keep up with the TikTok questions. So I'm sorry to everybody out there. There is a way to find me and get a hold of me. I do my best. I'm not ignoring people. Hi, Yolanda. Welcome. What can I do for you? What can we do for you?
Well, my question is, because I'm in recovery, it's been a year, February 20th. So Dad's fighting me for custody. But my thing is, like, their side of the family, they always are, family functions. There's always alcohol around. Adults are drinking, smoking cigarettes and things. But at our family function, there's no alcohol. We play games. We involve the children. I have 2 older children as well. My 25-year-old and 23-year-old. They don't drink, so there's no alcohol in the house and things. So, I mean, doesn't that put them more like, because both our families come from addiction as well, so it's in our blood, you know, addiction and stuff. So I just worry that that's setting them up for future addiction or something. I don't know. I don't know how to approach that. So that kind of just.
Parham, may I start off on this one?
Absolutely, yeah.
I have
Always.
strong feelings on this one, and please give me anything you have. I just have a very strong. That's a kick-ass question. I love it, and I am going to make a little semi-confession here, and this is something I'm familiar with because I'm 50 years old, and I come from a family of hardcore weird substance abuse, okay, from another part of the world, okay. And one of the things my mother and I lost my father at the age of 4 or 5. I don't know if I've ever shared this stuff, but since you asked, I feel compelled that sharing this helps you in your future. I'm also dealing with the same issue right now with another family loved one of the same question that you brought up. Number one, yes, they are, especially with alcohol. If there's alcohol, the predisposition is set. And if you look at there's this issue, this discussion could go on for days, but a nice way to convey it is nature versus nurture, genetics versus environment. I've said it before. A good way to look at it is genetics loads the gun, environment pulls the trigger. Okay, so there's a trigger that potentially could be pulled right, given your issue. So they can be at a higher risk, but that doesn't mean they are. The way I came up, one of the things my mother did, and it still hasn't escaped me my whole life, is she started lecturing me at 5 or 6 about the dangers of substance abuse because it was so heavy around me. And watching my own father go through what he went, even at the age of 3 or 4, I recall saying to myself, I am never going to do this to myself because this is the worst thing in the world. And I know that living in that world, in that environment, is a nightmare, and the family suffers. So in an ideal situation, I would have this discussion with your significant other, and depending on where their psychological disposition and personality disposition is, you're hoping that they have the same concepts as you and take these as truths and keep the children away from that. Okay. The next best thing to do, if you can't just do that and have a discussion with them, is from your side, once they're old enough, not only have a discussion with them in a very sober-minded way, not accusing, forget that. When, in fact, a great place to start this discussion, I feel, is at the pediatrician. Okay, start that dialogue, start that discussion. I don't believe. This is my personal views. I don't believe hiding children from things is a good way to go about things. What cussing? Okay. Well, in a year, he's going to be in school and everyone's going to be cussing up a storm or watching something on TV. You have to educate them for their age level and bring them up sober-minded so they're not suffering from that. What's it called, guys? Nowadays, they start missing out. There's a
FOMO.
Yeah, thank
FOMO.
you. Right? You want to educate them. And the other part is, remember earlier we were talking about have these kids come up with a sense of self versus deriving that sense of self from others. How do you do that? I think you need to love them truly without any strings attached, because I don't know what's going on the other side, but let's assume for the sake of this discussion, there's dysfunction on the other side, right? There's not just alcohol, but there's, let's say, personality. So you have to love them dearly, honestly, without any strings attached, and age-appropriate education involving providers, and absolutely, I don't know how you get along with the ex. Absolutely do not badmouth him in front of the kids or the family. And I think that is your best bet. In fact, the data shows clearly that if one parent, let's say we got one bad parent, whatever it is, and I'm not saying he's bad, I know nothing. If one parent provides that rock of stability with love, emotions, and growth, kid's going to be okay. That's my 2 cents. Parham, please go ahead.
I mean, that was so passionately said. I think it was wonderful. And I'll just add to that, but much shorter, because first of all, congrats on your sobriety. I want you to know that, because the number one thing you're doing is you're modeling what it is that you hope to see, right? Mm-hmm. People always learn by what they see, heck of a lot better than what they hear, what they're told. Okay. So you're leading the way by your actions, and that's going to speak really, really loud volumes. So keep on doing that and keep controlling the things that you can control. Control your environment, control your conversations, control your approach, control your just all that, the whole the ecosystem that you have of your life. Control that, because on the other side, regardless of what you think or don't think, you're going to have zero control over it anyways. That's just the truth of the matter. It's unfortunately, we have no control over people, places, and things. And the other thing too, I always say this to family members, and I work with a lot of families, the genetic component or the environmental component. It's there's a story. It says these two identical brothers, right? And they're both raised with his alcoholic father. Okay, maybe you've heard this or not. And one of them grows up to be an alcoholic, and they say, "What happened?" He's like, "I just watched my father." And the other one grows up to never drink a drop of alcohol, and they say, "Hey, what happened?" He's like, "I just watched my father." So there's this individuality that goes on with human beings too, that they are their own people. They're their own humans. They have their own biology. They have their own psychology. They have their own sociology. And even if put in the exact identical situation, some things are just out of our control. So again, control the things you can control. Continue to be badass. Continue to model this what you're doing right now, being a pioneer in your family, breaking cycles. I'm assuming you're breaking cycles by just doing what you're doing right now. And hopefully that can break multi-generational cycles, because that's what you're trying to do. You're trying to break the cycle, not just for yourself, but for the next generation. And my hope for you is that you'll be successful.
Really nicely put. That's great. Take that and run with it. It's a wonderful compliment to, I think, what I said, and it's so much more on the ground. Do that and be proud of yourself. Tap yourself on the back. I am always around. Parham's around. I'm sorry I guess you asked this before somewhere. I'm sorry, but you can always find us here on Sundays, okay?
Okay, awesome. Thank you so much. And it's funny, before I go, I always make the joke to my daughter, like, always do what you're told. Don't do as you see what mama does.
I tell people.
Thank you guys both. I appreciate it. Thank you.
You got it.
Bye-bye. Derek, Dr. B, what's your thoughts on getting the liver checked extensively of substance abusers? All intravenous drug users, or people that, all the drug addicts, not extensively. You just need to get checked for hepatitis C, period. Given the numbers out there of how the demographics and how the epidemiology of hepatitis C has changed from the baby boomers and the reasons they caught it to the 21st century and the substance abuse patient. All substance abuse patients should have their liver checked until they stop using. And, once a year, every 6 months, or if there's any symptoms, depending on what the physician thinks. And in fact, we as substance abuse physicians should heavily promote and educate on hepatitis C, its treatment, and it should just be rule of thumb. You come in, we check. I won't get much more into that. Maybe I'll make a video about this. I want every substance abuse patient, in terms of cocaine, heroin, meth, to be fully incorporate hepatitis C, and there's other stuff too, but really hepatitis C as part of their psyche and identity in terms of their issues with substances. That's my thoughts on that, Derek. Parham, do you have anything on that?
That's actually, so I want to do an educational piece right here, because I want to give everyone, because there's a lot of people watching, the appropriate response that someone should give when a question like that is asked when they're in the substance abuse field. So a lot of you might be working with sponsors, you might be working with drug and alcohol counselors, you might be working with an addiction therapist like myself. Whenever there's a question like that that's related to medical, the appropriate response that you should hear back, and if you don't hear this is some red flags, you should hear back is this, that's a great question. It's outside of my scope of practice. However, this is a great question to direct to someone that's qualified and licensed to give you a response to that. So if someone tells you everything that Dr. B just said, just because they're clean and sober, I'd be really skeptical of that guidance and advice. So always make sure that these are directed to the right qualifications, because the answer, you can see how Dr. B explained it, is based on clinical evidence. I mean, it's awesome. It's based on experience. It's based on degrees. It's based on just years and years of knowledge. So I have nothing to say on that topic, nor do I think I should have anything to say on that.
You said quite a bit. That's very educational, and that's why I love you, man. I love you on here. Derek, that's wonderful. B-Glam, have you? Okay, so that's not for us. Randy, thank you. I am learning how to use this feature. Is that Parham? Okay, great. Yeah. Guys, that's Parham and his YouTube channel. If you want to go there and check him out, he just started it and he's growing it, but we're going to be doing this on a regular basis. Okay. I can see how Jenna. Okay, thank you, guys. Because it's I'll be judged. Yes, this group. Okay. I think Misty's somewhere on here. Okay, so we got Gold Dust Woman on here. Hi, Atlanta. We will. Okay, Karen, let me. Oh, fantastic! I love that. I think both of us will have something to say on this. But let me. I got a throat. I'm going to put up Gold Dust Woman, and I'm just going to go grab a water because I talk too much. But here's Gold Dust Woman, and give me 1 second. I can hear. I'm just around the corner. Please go ahead.
Am I okay? I'm on. You can hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, so basically my question is, for someone like myself who I've really, this is my first time getting sober. I've been an active addict for 26 years, and I really don't know how to navigate emotion. I don't know anything. I feel like. So in regards to navigating emotions, feelings, a life in general, do you consider it empowering or enabling to have a kind of like a cocoon of people around me that are compassionate and supportive when I may not be in a good mood? You know, I may be very, very sad, or, you know, not like bright and cheery like I sometimes am.
I got it. So not only do I consider that empowering, it's vital and necessary. So when you're going through long-term substance use and all of a sudden you get clean and sober, I'm going to give you an analogy, okay? So imagine being in a car driving as fast as you can for 26 years. And as you're driving as fast as you can for 26 years, you're starting to accumulate a bunch of stuff in your car, experiences, people, events, situations, and all of a sudden you slam your brakes when you get clean and sober. Everything that's in your car is going to fly and slam you in the back of your head. It's going to completely fill up your windshield. It's going to feel overwhelming. You're going to feel scared. You need other people in this situation to come and help you, guide you, support you, nurture you. In the program, we say, love you until you can realize you got to love yourself, to help you through this process. So not only is it not enabling to get help right now, it's actually vital, necessary, and I hope that you don't go through this process by yourself. I mean, the situation you're in right now, you don't want to be in that neighborhood in your mind on your own. It's a bad neighborhood. So make sure you're supporting yourself with people that are compassionate, loving, supportive, and also knowledgeable. It can't just be a bunch of people that just care. It has to be a bunch of people that actually know what they're doing and helping you get from where you are to where you're trying to get to.
I am. Feel like like I'm in a program. I just feel like sometimes if I'm not in a good mood or I'm having a bad day, some people may take it the wrong way, and like I don't really feel like I have like compassionate understanding, like cocooned around me sometimes.
Yeah, no, it's okay. My best advice to you is to be unapologetically authentic in this time. You have to be yourself. You have to own your feelings. You have to express what you need to express. You have to say what you need to say. You can't suppress. You can't hold. You can't minimize because you're worried about what your environment's going to think. So I strongly encourage that you are able to find the courage and the space to be authentic, to own your feelings, to express your feelings. Don't worry about judgment. Don't worry about any of that stuff that you're worried about right now. And if you don't find that environment, then keep finding till you find that environment. They call it, develop a sober social support network that has what it is you're looking for. They're out there. I promise you they're out there.
And the only other thing I have to add, Gold Dust, is communication. It goes a long way. I think most problems on this planet, including substance abuse, have their roots in lack of communication, whether it's emotional, verbal, physical, and so on. That's a whole different story. I'm going to do it with Parham at some point here. It'll be a lot of fun, because we can go from the individual down to society, up to society. But here is where you have to authentically communicate what's going on. And at that point, I would say, if the people say, hey, I can't express what I'm feeling. I've had 6 years of substance abuse. I'm dealing with changes that I'm sure are affecting my mood regulation, and so I can't really explain it to you, but I'm edgy right now. And if it's okay with you, I'm going to withdraw to my room. Just don't make it a habit, because that's not good for you. Because the original answer Parham gave was have that support and don't be and be authentic. And that's it. And I hope that helps.
Thank you.
You got it.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Okay. Hope that helps, Gold Dusker. And then we got this great question. I wish Karen would come on. I love this question. You want to go first? I think I might have made a video.
No, actually, you go first on this one, because once you separate the two and we realize there's a significant separation there, I can come and talk about the.
In fact, last week. Okay, so Karen, here's my thing. Number one, depending what drug we're talking about, but it really doesn't matter. And here's how I approach it. Okay, when you sit in front of me, let's make it even more complex. All right, let's say you're sitting in front of me and your deal is intravenous methamphetamines. You're smoking opiates and intravenous, and sometimes you are goofballing it, sometimes chasing it, a little bit of benzos here and there, and whatever else you can get your hands on. And we're getting you clean. So forget how I go about getting that clean, because I have a particular order. But one of the things when you are discussing to me anxiety, sleeplessness, or depression, if we're talking about methamphetamines or whatever, the medications I can adjust that address only the drug are very few, methadone or subs. Okay. After that, I hold off if I can. I don't want my goal here, believe it or not, people call us or call me or call, drug pushers or slaves of the, God, if you guys only knew my history and my wars with these people. My goal is to get you on the least number of things that has greater benefit than harm. I take this issue very seriously. If your anxiety is secondary to the drug withdrawal, and I'm not treating the withdrawal because I don't have any arsenal to do so, I will try to give some supportive medication that's going to be very short term with a close eye on you until I get past the withdrawals. Okay. See you a bunch of times. I'm slow. I'm not that sharp. Okay. Takes me a minute. is this anxiety from the withdrawals? Did the anxiety come before the drug abuse? And I take several weeks, if I have to separate these out. Then I address the anxiety. But if it has to do with my withdrawals and if we're not, opiates is easy, but if it's meth and so forth, then I have to decide of the arsenal of psychotropics and sedatives that I can potentially use and keep a really close eye on you so I can get you across the finish line. We just had one, a guy, he's my age, wonderful, wonderful guy, 30-something years on and off of stimulants, and the most recently was meth. And just a really difficult emotional time stopping. And I ended up using just a touch sprinkle of benzos, keeping a close eye on them, a little bit of Zyprexa at night. And here we are 6 weeks out, and there is no underlying anxiety that I can see many weeks out. And that's, you got to separate the two, and the therapeutic arsenal as far as, biotics that's utilized has to be considered by the practitioner. Is this going to have long-term or short-term harm? It's just a bunch of stuff that should be going on in your mind, and the patient should be kept a close eye on, and you got to discern these things and figure it out. That's my thoughts on that. Go ahead, Parham.
That was so comprehensive, man. I mean, it's not much to say after that, so I guess I'll try.
No, please.
Yeah, I'll try to catch something outside of that. So you nailed it when you said you have to be able to have a little bit of time to distinguish. So when you talk about anxiety symptoms, first you have to gain awareness of what those symptoms are, just kind of become aware of what those symptoms are, and then the therapeutic component of it. So when you remove everything the doctor was talking about clinically with medications and withdrawal symptoms and this and that, is out of those symptoms that you're experiencing that you call anxiety symptoms, how many of those existed then and there prior to the use of the substance? Which one of those did you use in a previous version of yourself? Did you have when you're growing up? Did you have as a byproduct of your upbringing? Did you have as a byproduct of a relationship that ended or someone losing someone in life? When you find out the origin of anxiety symptoms, whatever those are for you, that becomes the therapeutic work. Now, that work is a heck of a lot easier to do when you're comfortable and relieve the physical and psychological withdrawal symptoms of a substance. So you don't want to get into that work too quickly, because you might overwhelm yourself. It might be too much on your overall ability to kind of regulate those emotions. But once you get comfortable, meaning once the physical withdrawals have subsided, that's when you roll up your sleeves and you start to work on the underlying anxiety.
Thank you. And Sarah, we're coming to you next. And Karen, I think this is really important because many times I start utilizing Dr. G's team for the mental health aspect because that has to be addressed. And that's it. I hope we answered your question. Oh, Sarah just bounced. But I hope that answers your question, Karen. And hopefully it did. Let's see, where are we? Oh, we got Sarah. There's Sarah. Okay, here's Sarah. Now the questions are coming in, and we're getting... There's just so many questions now, Parham. I don't know if you could see it. Let's get Sarah on here. Karen, thank you. Hope that helped. Hi, Sarah.
Hi.
There you are.
Hi. Oh, I'm so excited to be here. Hi.
Hi. How are you?
I'm good. How are you? You're an inspiration. I'm so glad I found you on TikTok. Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. My pleasure. Glad you're here with us.
I just wanted to know, I have been sober, I guess technically my sobriety day is December 3rd, 2018, but I don't really count days. I'm not a member of a 12-step program. I found my recovery on my own entirely. And since I found my own recovery, if it matters, my drug of choice was alcohol, and I was drinking enough to kill most people every day. It was bad for a while. But since my recovery, I've been trying to find the community of people who are science-backed, who are doing authentic research into the causes of addiction, the links between addiction and trauma, and science-backed recovery methods. And I've had trouble breaking into this community. So I would like any advice you can have, because I just want to share my story and help other people.
Sure. I can. Parham, do you want to? I want you to go sometimes, and then I'll add.
Not a problem. So, congratulations on your sobriety. Whether it's 12-step based or not, it really doesn't matter. Everyone here is welcome, as I believe there's multiple different ways to get to certain outcomes in life. And the trauma is my bread and butter, if you will, is what I really care about in the therapeutic space. I do believe that all of us are addicted to something that takes away the pain, and that pain is something that got originated us long before the substance use, So I'm a big believer of the work of Dr. Gabor Mate. If you aren't familiar with him, I strongly suggest that you take a look at him. People that do follow Dr. Gabor Mate are a big community of individuals that are like-minded like yourself. It's all based on research, and he's a medical doctor, and it's deeply rooted in trauma. He got turned on by the work of Dr. Vincent Folletti, who did the largest study that's out there ever published on trauma and addictions. It's called the Adverse Childhood Experiences Study. If you've never heard of, ACEs. So that's the originating founder of that. So I
have CPTSD, so I know all of this.
Absolutely. So you're in the right path. You just got to continue to stay on this path, continue to speak up, join groups, participate, find like-minded people. Because they're out there, we're out there. It's just a matter of being invested. It seems like you're on the path to get there. It's just a matter of, it's not so mainstream like the 12 steps are. It's not so easily accessible like the 12 steps are, but it's out there. Dr. B is a wonderful resource if you're trying to find science-based, clinical-based stuff, and that's why you're a follower and a fan of him. So continue joining this community. Maybe this community becomes what it is you're looking for.
Okay, thank you so much. Am I allowed to ask one more question, or should I go?
Yeah, let me add to this as well. No.
Oh, yeah.
Relax. You're great.
I have an anxiety disorder too, so let's just throw that out there.
So I'm gonna take a second here, guys. Take a deep breath. Okay. It's okay. I'm going to give you one little piece. Again, I'm not a therapist. I'm not nothing. I'm a medical doctor. Okay. I'm a dumb ER doc, but I'm going to tell you a little something. All right. All things come to a pass. So relax. Nothing's going to happen. You're on here, man. Look at me. I'm sitting here with my, I haven't had the person here clean for weeks. And, my producer's like, you got to clean your room. I don't give a shit. So all things come to a pass. Relax, enjoy yourself, get your questions out, make sure they're answered. It's okay. If they want to make fun of us, let them all make fun of us. And you're not okay?
Okay.
Cool? Okay.
All right.
So let me
thank you for that, because my next question is a little nerve-wracking. I don't bring this up with many people at all, but I've been following you for a little bit now, and I trust you. I have some, what I believe are healthy criticisms of the 12-step program, and I do not mean to dismiss it entirely. However, I have found that it is nearly impossible to have a healthy conversation about 12 steps and what could be beneficial versus what might not be beneficial without very reactive responses from the larger community of recovery. And I just want to know if you have any advice about that, because and I feel a need to mention this just because I want people to know he existed. My best friend lost his fight with this disorder in 2019. And it is my job to do better for the world in his memory. And one of the ways he was failed was that he was repeatedly pushed into AA, and that was not the right program for him. So I would like to know if you have any advice about how to have a healthy conversation about this without it turning into attacking anyone's personal path to recovery, because that's not my goal either. I have friends who found success in the program, and that's not what I'm trying to do.
May I, Parham?
Absolutely, yeah.
And then Parham, I'm sure, has actually really golden advice on this. I'm going to wrap this up with your first question and give you some feedback.
Okay.
If you don't feel comfortable about my question, don't answer it. May I ask how old you are? 30s? 40s?
Oh, no, you're fine. I'm 36. My best friend is 36, or was, I mean, he was the same age as me. We were a month apart.
Okay. All right. So I'm 50. Okay. And again, I have such a big ego. I don't care if I tell people my age or if I don't comb my hair, which I don't have any. So I'm 50. And I can really honestly tell you that you want to know one of my biggest failures in my life. And I have good friends and colleagues point this out to me, and they often call me an idiot. One of my biggest shortcomings and failures in my life I've always been a champion of the marginalized, the oppressed, the weak, and I've always been obsessed with doing the right thing. Now, that itself can be pathological, and I'm sure it is. But through this expression, oftentimes I go and attack. And one of my mentors, colleagues, great friends once said to me, he said, Panima, do you know what your biggest problem is? I said, what? And this was when I was at a major program teaching. And he said, you walk into doctors, what we used to call doctor's alley, and everyone's there, and the faculty's there, and the residents are there, and they're all there. And you walk in, and you see the obvious elephant in the room. But your biggest mistake is you walk in and say, why in the fuck is there an elephant in the room and none of you are saying anything? That's been part of the bane of my existence my entire life. So now let me tell you what I'm learning in the last few years as I learned from your community and my personal trials and tribulations. Don't even worry about it. You want to know how you can change the paradigm? Promote what you believe in, which is the same thing I believe in, is science, okay? Compassion, and let things go where they go, because me and you are not the one person international warrior for what's right or wrong. We're not. Yeah. We're going to lose.
I know. I know.
And anytime you want to know more about the compassionate professional evidence-based approach to all of this, call Nicole, call me, reach out. Now
I would absolutely love to. I was supposed to be working with Vox last year for a special article regarding alternative paths to recovery, but COVID destroyed that. And I'm just trying to find a way to use my voice to save some lives. So if I could reach out to you at some point, I would really love to.
Nicole's an amazing resource, and we're here every Sunday. And that's my 2 cents on that. Parham, please, I'm sure you have some great thoughts on this.
Sure, thank you.
I think you were talking about more on a level of going and finding individual members that are in 12-step programs and having a conversation and meeting a wall. I'll tell you where the true change is going to happen, right? It's this. It's what me and Dr. B are doing with you being here right now. It's the treatment industry, okay? What I mean by that is this. The drug and alcohol addiction treatment industry are the ones that have the cookie cutter approach. And by the way, I'm a member of that community. I'm a partner of a treatment facility, and I could own shortcomings when it's true, right? So
thank you. I'm a 3-time rehab survivor.
Yeah. So that system is the one that's continuously putting people in places that's not an appropriate fit for them. It might not work for them. It might not be therapeutic or healing for them. And the system continues to do something expecting different results, right? Mm-hmm. So when the system changes to understand there's alternative routes of recovery. Not all recovery looks the same. There's different modalities, different approaches, different styles for different people because it needs to be individualized. Then all of a sudden, a friend like your best friend that passed away doesn't have to get shuffled through that same system over and over and over again. That person goes through the system and gets placed in somewhere that is going to help them. So the true discussion comes from going to speak to the system as a whole, not just AA or subset that's happening in there. Because the thing about 12 steps, like anything else, they're going to be dogmatic in thinking. It's their way or the highway, work for them, so it's going to work for everybody. I mean, we all know this, right? So going there, trying to have a different conversation with them, it's going to be faced with resistance. It's going to be faced with like, hey, this is what we know is true. But going somewhere and speaking to panels of experts, getting in front of audiences, I'm sure there's a lot of people, by the way, when you shared about your experience on the side chat, we're telling you, hey, we accept you. We want you here. We believe in the same things you're believing in. We actually have done the same things you're doing. So there's people that are like-minded like you. It's just a matter of finding similarities rather than focusing on the differences.
I know they exist. It's just hard to find. It's hard to find people.
You're in the front lines. You're in the front lines of this.
You are. And Parham, thanks for really, Parham just put absolute meat to my, going off on my own. We're here. I mean, that's what Parham and I are doing. Now, I could go talk to somebody that disagrees with me about how to approach substance abuse. I know I'm not going to get anywhere at this age, right? And time's ticking, so I'm sensitive of what I can do in this world, right? So I don't want to waste it. Or we can do what we're doing here with Parham, and Nicole's here, and we have a big community that's growing. And Parham nailed it. You just do this, and this will spread on its own in a positive way. And you take care of yourself first. That's critical as well. Your anxiety, your recovery, and if you do that, you will do more than you think.
Okay, thank you so much, y'all. I'm so grateful. I didn't expect to jump on here tonight, but I really appreciate it. You're both inspirations, and thank you for help saving lives.
Thank you. Nicole, okay. Hey, I don't know how to do. I had this Suboxone questions on TikTok. I've told all the guys, come here. I can't. I'm too slow to look at everything. But here's Nicole. Where'd Nicole go? I just had her on. Here is Parham's YouTube channel. I don't know. Others, our friend Misty. Hi, Misty. Always pleasure to see you. And here's Nicole.
There she is.
Hey, guys. So, Sarah, I wanted to come on here because when I heard you talking, I just want you to know that I have feel the same way you feel. I've definitely been where you're at. I want you to know that there's a huge community of people that believe in evidence-based science, and we are like meeting, and we all meet together. We do meetings on Zoom. We do live streams together, and I have all the links to all that stuff. If any of you guys want to join, I want you to know that when I first got sober, I was like, wham, bam, thank you, ma'am, hitting the 12 steps hard, and I worked them for about 2 or 3 years. And then my beliefs started to shift and change, and I started finding things that I have a different point of view about recovery, and I don't think that recovery is abstinence and abstinence is recovery. And so when I started to kind of separate myself and look for different programs, I found this amazing program called MERA, which is Medication Assisted Recovery Anonymous. It is a program that is all-inclusive to anyone, no matter what medications you're on, and you don't even have to be on medication if you want to be in the program. It's nationwide. There's a website. I'll link all that for you guys, but I want you to look at it like this. So I used to go back and forth and try to like change people's mind that were part of the 12-step community, and I would spend so much time burning myself out on that. And I just want you to think about this. When I was a kid, my parents raised me up as Pentecostal. It was the only religion I knew. And so when I got old enough to like try to choose my own religion, I was like, well, Pentecostal's the only religion and I'm going to stick with that, you know? But then I started going with my friends to different churches, and I realized, wow, I like this church, this Baptist church, or I like this Catholic church. And it opened my mind to try new things. And so I had to go through that experience to learn that there's not just one way to go to church, right? It's the same thing with the 12 steps. And we have been taught this way the whole time. In every treatment center you go to, it's abstinence 12-step based recovery, you know, except for our treatment center, Dr. B's treatment center, we do it differently. We do evidence-based treatment. But when you go to these programs and that's all that they're teaching, that's all you know. And so that's what's happened to everyone. They've only been shown the 12-step model of recovery. So that's why when people get in recovery and they do it through the 12 steps, they're so passionate because that helps them save their life. But just like I'm passionate about meditation assisted treatment and Suboxone because it helps save my life. And now I want to share that with everyone. And so when I stopped trying to change everybody's mind and just I just work on helping people, showing them what worked for me and sharing the resources we have with this open-minded, recovery. It has been amazing. I used to really burn myself out going back and forth with people, and I have stopped doing that. And we have created a community. It's huge of people that are just like me who believe in evidence-based treatment. And I just wanted to say that. And then I also wanted to tell you guys, like, I am on Suboxone and I'm tapering and I'm down to under 2 milligrams. And I've seen all of you guys are asking questions. And so I just want y'all to know that I'll do a live stream and you guys can ask questions and we can talk about Suboxone, and I can tell you guys about Suboxone and sex drive because I've been there. I can tell you about trying to taper and going back and forth because I've been there. So I just want everyone to know that, like, we're here to support you and help you. And I just don't want you to feel like there's not a place for you, because there is. And it's with us here.
Thank you, Nicole.
Okay.
We are, I don't want to keep this. So I just want to make, Parham, on this, if you want to keep going, I think we're about there. What I want to make some comments, guys. If your questions weren't answered, I apologize. We will answer them. We're here with every week. I'm telling you, I'm really fortunate to have the opportunity with Parham getting on, and because he has a really, really busy schedule himself. He's with a big treatment program. He has a lot of responsibilities, and we're going to keep this going. Nicole's going to be around, Dr. G, and we'll have other people, but we want to keep this regularly going. And please take advantage of this situation. Like I said, guys like Parham and whoever I bring on, I really, really, really have, there's a lot of standards here, and you guys are seeing how rock and roll he is. The questions that weren't answered on TikTok, on my YouTube in the next couple of weeks, I have certain videos coming out. One of them is opiates and endocrinopathies. One of them is opiate-induced constipation. I have me and Parham next week. I think, Parham, let's just throw that out there and commit to it. I think next week, I was going to do a YouTube on this, but I think it's going to be so much more powerful. It's a little bit controversial, maybe. I'll lose some of you guys, but me and Parham are going to do the central topic of is THC, and I use THC loosely, harm reduction in recovery. And I think this is going to be a great topic next week. We're going to do that. And we got all kinds of stuff coming up for you. Parham, I want to share any last thoughts?
No, just I want you guys to know that despite of a busy schedule, this is something that I look forward to and I'm committed to doing on a weekly basis. My Sunday is booked for this, and I hope more and more people come on, log on, and also share this. If you found some value in this, right? This is my request. If you found some value in this, and you know you have a recovery community of people that would enjoy something like this, invite them on. Tell them to come on, check us out. I would love nothing more than to get to know more people and be engaged with this process and build something with you. And count on me to be here each week.
Yeah, I second. I ditto that. You can come from any walk. We are absolutely non-judgmental. I don't care if you are a hardcore AA. And in fact, I'll just does he think NAA are a great idea? I think whatever works for you is a great idea. It's not what I do. But I, like I said, I'm not going to ever put anything down. I believe in science, compassion. I have my thoughts on different things. If it works for you, I support you 100%. Nevertheless, I'd like to have the opportunity to take care of you, and we'd like to answer your questions here. I think that's it, guys. Parham?
Good to go. No, it was wonderful. Thank you.
That was awesome. And TikTok, we are leaving.
There's TikTok.
There's Parham. Okay, guys. let's sign out. I'm going to say goodbye to TikTok. Bye, guys. See you. So, Parham, I'll be in touch. We'll talk soon. Nicole, thank you for everything and all the people that came on. We will see you next week. Oh, if you like the channel, please subscribe. Give us a thumbs up. And for those of you so inclined that love to support our efforts, we have a Patreon. Keep in mind, this is a nonprofit endeavor, and you can check it on Google that we are nonprofit status, and that the money goes to really supporting what we do here. Thank you again, guys. I'll talk to you soon. Parham, John, I will talk to you very soon.
Thank you, Doc. Appreciate it.
Hi, guys. Hey, TikTok, you guys are pretty cool. I am going to see you guys soon, and I will try to answer everyone's questions in due time. Bye, guys.
I was just texting you, doctor.
I'm just telling you, you're gonna kill it. I just got a text. So there's a couple from the East Coast that I took care of, and this is the 1%er club, right? And it's a cool story. I'll tell you some other time. But they've become great friends because I basically saved his life. They're a Jewish family, and she just texts me. She's been following this stuff, and she's really smart. She did work in New York City at one point and stuff like that, but all the money comes from him. And she just texts, and she kind of really closely follows this stuff. And I just saw the text. Here's another one from her. And she's like, Parham is amazing also. Fantastic team you guys made. Coming back from her, is everyone's Nicole's. Let me tell Nicole. I'll call her right back. Nicole, can I call you back?
Did you end the live stream on YouTube?
Oh, thank you. Jeez.
You're welcome. Make sure you end broadcast up in the top right corner. Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye. No, it's still on.